Tariq sat on the edge of the bed, carefully tucking in his baby girl, Sana, her soft breaths rising and falling like the tide, bringing peace to his storm-tossed heart. At 68 years old, his weathered face, a roadmap of laughter lines and hard-earned wisdom, crinkled into a smile as he watched her sleep. Sana, his youngest, was his pride and joy. Her mother Fatima had left them when Sana was just a babe, leaving Tariq to navigate the world of fatherhood alone. He never remarried, pouring all his love into raising Sana, who in turn blossomed into an exceptional young woman, a beacon of light in his life. As Sana grew older, her infectious laughter echoed through their modest home, chasing away any shadows of loneliness. Their lives were simple, filled with shared meals, stories, an unwavering bond. But their peaceful existence was about to face its greatest test. In the blink of an eye, their lives shattered. As if the heavens themselves were weeping, torrential rains poured down on the city. Winds howled, whipping the rain into a frenzy. The sky, dark and brooding, rumbled with the anger of the gods. In the midst of this tempest, fear took root in Tariq's heart. It was the kind of storm he hadn't seen in years, the kind that whispered of danger and destruction. He looked out the window, his gaze fixed on the gnarled branches of the ancient tree swaying wildly in the wind. It was a lone sentinel guarding their home, and now it seemed to be screaming a warning. He found Sana sitting by the window, her face pale, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Be afraid," boomed a voice from within the storm. The power went out, plunging them into darkness. The wind suddenly stopped, leaving behind an eerie silence that was more terrifying than the storm itself. In that pregnant quiet, the earth shuddered. Not a tremor, but a violent shake that seemed to tear the very foundations of their home. The old house groaned, its timbers protesting against the invisible force that shook them. Tariq's heart pounded in his chest, a wild drumbeat against the silence. His gaze frantically searched for his daughter in the darkness, calling out to her, his voice hoarse with fear. "Sana, where are you?" The ground trembled again, and then again, each tremor more violent than the last. In that single moment, life split into two, halves before and after. Tariq's eyes darted desperately across the collapsed street, dust filling the air like smoke from a battlefield. Screams pierced through the chaos, but one voice was missing, the voice that meant the world to him. His daughter Sana. He had been walking just a few steps behind her. She had been walking just a few steps ahead of him, holding her school bag close to her chest. Then the earthquake struck. The old stone wall crumbled, and a massive rock tumbled down, pinning her beneath its weight. Tariq's heart nearly stopped when he saw the small hand sticking out from under the debris, trembling weakly. "Baba." Sana's faint cry cut through the roaring silence of destruction. Tariq dropped to his knees, clawing at the stones with his bare hands, tearing his skin open. Neighbors rushed in panic, pulling their loved ones, searching for safety. But Tariq could only see his daughter, his sunshine buried under the merciless rock. Every second felt like a lifetime slipping away. "Don't leave me, Sana. Stay with me, my love. Baba is here," he pleaded, his voice breaking. The rock was too heavy for him alone. His hands bled, his back ached, but he refused to stop. Passersby begged him to leave, fearing aftershocks. "Brother, you'll die too. Save yourself," someone shouted. But Tariq shook his head fiercely. "My daughter is still breathing. I will not move until she is free." One by one, people came forward, noticing his unshakable determination. A few men came forward, then more. Soon, a small crowd surrounded him, working together to move the massive stone. With ropes, wooden planks, and sheer willpower, they heaved and strained, their cries mixing with the groans of shifting rubble. Finally, with one last desperate push, the rock rolled away. Sana's fragile body was uncovered, dust-covered, trembling, but alive. Tariq scooped her into his arms, tears streaming down his dirt-stained face. "You're safe, my girl. You're safe." Sana's tiny arms wrapped around his neck, her whisper weak but full of trust. "I knew you would come." The crowd fell silent. Many moved to tears. In the midst of destruction and despair, they had witnessed something unbreakable, father's love that refused to surrender. Days later, as the city began to pick up the pieces from the devastating earthquake, the tale of Tariq and his bravery echoed through the streets. People spoke of him not just as a father but as a symbol of resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The scars on his hands, once hidden, now became a badge of honor, a physical reminder of the day he moved a mountain to save his daughter. Then came the visitors, some offering condolences, others merely curious about the extraordinary tale that had unfolded on that fateful day. But there was one visitor that meant the most to Tariq. It was Sana. She stood hesitantly at the doorway, her eyes downcast, her usual vibrancy dimmed by the ordeal. "Baba," she whispered, her voice trembling. Tariq looked up, his heart aching at the sight of his daughter, her spirit broken by the trauma. "Come here, my love," he said, his voice rough with emotion. Sana slowly walked towards him, and he pulled her into the tightest hug he could manage, burying his face in her hair. "You're safe now," he murmured, feeling her small body shaking against his. "Nothing will hurt you while I am here," was a promise, a vow that resonated with the depth of his love for his daughter. As the days turned into weeks, Sana began to heal. The laughter that once filled their home returned, albeit softer, more cautious. The shadow of the disaster still loomed, but it no longer consumed them. Tariq often replayed that day in his mind. He would sit by Sana's side as she healed, holding her small hand in his rough, scarred palms. Each scar on his hands became a mark of victory, proof that when the world fell apart, he refused to let go of hope. And when Sana finally returned to school, she carried more than just books in her bag. She carried the unshakable lesson that no obstacle, no matter how heavy, can bury love that refuses to give up. But their story didn't end there. The image of Tariq pulling his daughter from the rubble became a source of inspiration for the entire community. People began to call him the Rock Man, a nickname that at first brought a wry smile to his face, but soon filled him with quiet pride. In a city that was slowly rebuilding itself, Tariq emerged as a symbol of hope, a living embodiment of resilience. One evening, as the sun cast long shadows across the city, Tariq and Sana sat in their home, sharing a simple meal. The quiet companionship was comforting, the silence speaking a language of shared understanding. It was then that Sana, her eyes shining with newfound determination, broke the silence. "Baba," she began, her voice firm, "I want to help others." Tariq looked at her, surprised by the suddenness of her request. "Help others," he echoed, not quite understanding. Sana nodded, her gaze unwavering. "The other children, the ones who lost their homes, their parents, they need us." In that moment, Tariq saw in his daughter a reflection of himself, a spirit of kindness and empathy that refused to be subdued by the hardships they had faced. Thus began their new chapter, one filled with purpose and compassion. Together they started a small initiative, collecting food, clothing and books for the children who had lost everything in the earthquake. It wasn't much, but it was a start, a beacon of light in the darkness that had descended upon their city. And so the story of Tariq, the Rock Man, continued, evolving from a tale of survival into a narrative of hope and resilience. For in the face of adversity, he had not only saved his daughter, but in turn, his daughter had saved him from despair. Their bond, forged in the fires of tragedy, became a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit, proving that even in the darkest of times, love and hope can pave the way towards healing and renewal.